All right. Uh, Hi everyone, Jody here from AKIAC. Now here with us today is Mohan Kumar. He's
Mohan
a
Krishna.
Mohan Krishna, with currently a PhD student at Old Dominion University. So let's hear from him a short introduction about his whole journey and his current status on his PhD and so on. And then we'll ask him more questions and get to know more about it. Over to you, Mohan. Maybe you can give a short brief.
Yeah, so my name is Mohan Krishna, as you said, and I'm a PhD student at Old Dominion University, which is located in Virginia. And so I my major research interests are artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, accessible computing. I did my masters in back in I did collaboration work in Manipal University in Europe. I did completed my masters in Europe. And before doing my masters, I was in same Manipal University I studied. I completed my BTech in IT. So it's a long journey because when I started my 2013 onwards, I was preparing my PhD. And between COVID, I have many drawbacks. Like many times I stuck. I was not able to go forward, and it takes a while. Very difficult process for me because lack of proper guidance for me because I believe that many people uh, doesn't have much knowledge. Many consultants in India doesn't have much knowledge on PhD. They have knowledge on MS, but unfortunately, I got a bad guidance on PhD. So I wasted 2 years in between. So I completed recently first year of PhD. Yeah, and maybe it takes 2 more years to complete the PhD in computer science. Yeah,
Got it. All right. Let's start off with the problem that you just mentioned. So
yeah, yeah,
you are interested in going for the PhD program right from India, and you faced a
yeah,
lot
yeah,
of challenges. And I think
yeah, correct.
supporting agencies didn't provide the right knowledge
Yeah.
or the right information to you. So can you please point out what were the challenges that you faced, and also some maybe something on that as a PhD student?
Yeah, yeah. So the point where the main reason why I joined this your institution as a mentor, as admit card as a mentor, because the I went to I used to stay in Bangalore because I studied most of my in education in Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka. So in Bangalore there is 2 kilometers, like 2 kilometers big, all consultants will be there on one single row. So I have experience while before for the sake of masters I went for Europe. So there I find many consultants all around in Delhi, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai. So I have Mumbai. I consulted many people there. So the main thing they were telling me is while applying for MS it is okay, but while applying for PhD and even while applying for Europe, no one has an idea because they ended up giving a wrong guidance. So there it I was wasted my time. And when it comes to PhD, many people what they does is they treat PhD equal to masters. Like masters, if you just apply for the university, you have to wait for their response. If you get admitted, you'll go to the university. So PhD is not like that. You have to contact the professor before itself, and you have to ask them whether they have funding. You have to ask them what kind of projects are available. Without knowing, if you just go jump into the university, you end up after I seen many people coming out of PhD after 1 or 2 years. And in some universities, some universities I don't know name universities, there they invite 70 PhD students starting, and by the end of first year they'll kick out 60 PhD students. They'll keep only 10 PhD students. So because the thing is, if my case were landed into that case, even if I end up studying PhD 1 or 2 years, if my professor and lab says there is no funding for you, you can have to take masters or leave the PhD, then I have to force you to take masters. Unfortunately, if I don't have any financial background, many students I see they come out of PhDs. Worst case, they come out of PhD after 4 5 years. So completely waste of time. So what many consult told me is just you clear GRE, TOEFL, and just you apply for the universities. And there are again they didn't give you proper for guidance. So again there will be two. What I found is there are two types of universities. R1 category, R2 category. If you can Google it, you will find it out. So R1 category is the thing where you university will have very high research funding, and R2 category is the university which will have high funding. So in R1 category there will be 163 universities, Altogether there'll be around like 163 universities. So before consulting any of a consultants, no one knows this. So when I consulted one of the PhD students who is studying in Virginia Tech, so he told me all this. Like he told me, first you sort it out. Like first you take your profile and make one table. Go to every university to R1. So make like what what GRE score they're expecting, what TOEFL score, what bachelor's master's score they're expecting. Make one table and compare your profile with them, and then come out with like which universities you are like your profile is eligible for it. So you do most analysis on that. So when I started doing it, then I got like I applied for 10 universities. I thought of applying for 10 universities. In 2020, I applied and all I got rejections. 2020, 2019 I completed master. 2020 I applied. I got all rejections. Maybe like because of COVID is one of the criteria. Like because of maybe COVID, like lack of funding. But the other thing is I applied for bad universities where there is no funding at all. I applied for that kind of university. So because I doesn't know what to do, I didn't connect any professors. And 2021 also I did the same mistake. I applied for 5 universities, and 5 I got rejection immediately. And later I was worrying, like it was like around February or March. I was like, I was completely hopeless. I thought I won't get anything. But I thought, why can't I contact the PhD students who are studying in Stanford, Harvard, MIT, or like Virginia Tech? So I contacted them. They said the biggest mistake you did is like your profile is very good because you have like experience in Europe or everywhere. You have international exposure. But the mistake you did is you didn't contact the professors. And the well contacting professors, the one more mistake, the misguidance they given me is like the consultants they charged a heavy amount from me, like they charged around 50,000, 60,000 from me, and they given one letter, some draft, 5, 6 paragraphs that I used to send for professors. 5, 6 paragraphs, no one is going to read. So like whenever I used to send the professor, no professor used to reply for me. Then they given me one draft. They said you should highlight only things which professors find is interesting, not like all the things, whole your life story should. You have to keep a link below so that if they are interested, you have to create a resume or any website on your behalf so that like you have to mention one line. If you're interested to know more about me, click on it. So only if they're interested, they'll click on it, they'll go. Otherwise, they'll just conduct an interview with you. So like in that way. So when I followed that, I mailed to the all professors. I got like mailed 10 professors, 9 professors to reply me and set up a meeting. And when I got into again, after that, after that 5 university applied, I got admission in 5 universities out of 100% scholarship. And I got they offered me TA RA position for 4 5 years. Like they didn't let me admit on conditional, like conditional admission is called, conditional admission means like if you perform well in first year, if you are able to find a professor who can fund you, then only you can continue PhD. Otherwise it's like called conditional admission. I got like non-conditional, for entire PhD they're going to fund me. So so again the PhD helped me, like even you get top universities, if they're a conditional like admission, don't take it, because in top universities, some universities I don't say all, some university only if you get a professor before itself you take the PhD and go. Otherwise, like take the PhD, even though it's like above like average college, take the PhD and go, because funding is very important. Because if you want to fund your PhD, it will be 3 4 more than 100K or 200K dollars, like which you can't bear. It will be very tough for you. So by taking their guidance, I came here. I see many students here who came for, there is one more way also, like who came for masters, they'll convert their PhD from masters to PhD. And one more thing is, what other people do is like they'll come to masters, they'll get a job there, and they'll do part-time PhD by paying money. So the two are easiest ways. Once you come to masters, you can convert it to PhD, or after your masters, there's one more option, like you can do part-time PhD. So there won't be much pressure on you to publish more papers. You get your PhD. But if you're very interested to publish more papers and all, full-time PhD is better. And getting starting directly PhD, 100% scholarship, and getting per month part-time job before TA or assistantship before is a tough thing. So if any students are interested in it, they can actually try for it, like what I did. But it's a tough process. The second process is they can come to a master's and convert into PhD. Actually, no consult. I think no consultancy is no in depth, because I have contacted in detail with many PhD students. I have I have more than 50, 60 students I have contacted who are third year, fourth year in Ivy League. So they told me all this information.
Got
Yeah,
it. I think
yeah,
the whatever you shared is, I think, not available for most of the
Yeah, of
consultancy who are
course.
giving this kind
No,
of.
no. I don't think any consultants know this one because, yeah, like I have been, I lost a lot of my money and I have like, lost a lot of my time, more than money, time and all. And I gathered information from the students only.
Got it. Got it. All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our next question.
Mm.
I just want to know what is your purpose of doing a PhD? Whether it
Okay.
is to enhance your knowledge or whether it is for your professional growth when it comes to your life goals and all those. So, can you please take us through on this particular note?
Okay, so like I used to work in like the answer to question is like when I used to work in HP, Hewlett Packard. I used to work in HP research and development R&D department as an R&D like intern in back in Bangalore. When I was in Bangalore, I used to work in a HP R&D. So there I got to exposure for research and everything. So I used to I was a developer. Like I did my bachelor's and my master's in computer science itself. So I was into like development, but there I got to know like about research, new things. I was always my nature is always curious and passionate about know the curious new things and all, mysterious things and all. So that brought me towards research, and that's the one of the reason. The other reason is I wanted to always become a research scientist. The thing research scientist means who does all research and all. The minimum qualification for research scientist for most of the companies, even in Bangalore, the Google, in Google or Bangalore, Hyderabad, they expect you to have a PhD minimum. And like when I like after that, I got an opportunity in Europe to work in PNG Procter and Gamble company, PNG company. There also I thought of doing PhD, but thing is in Europe also you will find research scientist position, but in whole world, the USA has many more research like scientist positions because the funding for research is very high in US. So at the end of your PhD and computer science especially because USA is called IT hub for entire world. So you like there will be lots of fundings and all. So it's easy to get in land into research scientists and also the funding will be more. Other countries there will be research scientist position, but it will be like way more less. Yeah, there will be lot of demand for it, and many people like who does PhD they'll end up in going academic. Of course, academic also good thing. I'm not saying is bad. And even USA, the academic requires you to do research. In India also is starting. In Europe also is there. But USA is like for, if you want to become professor, you have to do research. Otherwise, you will be like a lecturer or instructor kind of thing. So my main goal is to become research scientist, and because I want my nature is to constantly exploring new things. Because like I can't stay doing the same kind of thing again and again and again.
Got it.
Yeah.
So that was my next question that I was asking. So at least in India, the exposure to PhD is mostly for, like you mentioned, the
Academic.
lecturers, the
Mm.
academics, and second one, I would say, research scientists in government organizations like DRDO, defense,
It's
and so
very
on.
less. No, no.
So,
Actually, DRDO actually it's like it doesn't require you to get DRDO. I think so. Even if you have masters, you can get into it by writing exam. It doesn't require to like. Of course, research is there in India, but ISRO, DRDO, and military it has research positions. But the population, if you compare that, the seats there are like it's very difficult to get into it. Of course, you should be a super talented to get into it. That's what I mean, main concern. But I don't consider myself as extraordinary talent and all. I was like curious and I can do well, but I'm not like top talent in the world like that.
got it.
Yeah.
So again, I think I don't know if I'm repeating this question. So what will be the career opportunities in the private sector? Maybe at least, maybe you can share about the Indian perspective as well as the US perspective. I understand that in US there is a lot of research funding going on, and there is an auto opportunity for the research. I mean PhD graduates. So can you take us through I mean the career opportunities in both the countries?
Yeah. In India, is like because nowadays, recently, IBM and Google are like some companies are opening recently because of the IT like development which is happening here. Even I heard that Apple is opening his branch in Chennai. Really, the opening. Um, so real like nowadays it is because of IT is developing in India as well. So they are opening. Google has already opened its branch of research laboratory in India. IBM has already opened it. Some companies are opening it, So nowadays, I think even in India, if you do PhD, the in proper proper university, if you have a good conference, you can publish it anywhere, even in USA or in India, you can publish anywhere. It doesn't matter. Like you can, if you want, if you're aiming on conference or journal, if it is very good journal, you can publish from India also. The thing is, you should be like, if you are wearing good journals, you can get into those companies. But if you want to go for academics, you doing a PhD, just doing PhD matters. If you want to go for academics, I think recently in India, most of the universities have started if they want to professor, they want to do PhD. Like that's the many recently it has started 2 3 years before, so that's why many people are doing in India PhDs. And because I seen triple IT and also some premium institution IIT, triple IT, I seen some people professor they did PhD in USA. So they did PhD in USA, came to India. So you can get a job like top MBA colleges. They did PhDs in USA. So you can land into that kind of job, professor in triple IT or IIT or some kind of premium institutions, BIS Pilani or Manipal or like that. And also like you can get a jobs in IBM in private sector. Right, recently it is on rise. Like it is developing. Maybe in 10 years or 5 to 10 years, you can develop a good growth. You can get a jobs. In same kind of in Europe also. In US, what happens is you can take or you can always take like if you don't get say scientist job, you can always take like a two types of job, researcher and like normal researcher kind of job, research scientist and postdocs in industries. So you can take postdocs, industrial postdocs position, or research scientist position, or normal researcher positions, or any you can join as instructor without, if you don't want to do research after PhD, you can join as an instructor. You can, if you want to do like research and then teaching, you can join as a professor. Like in USA, it is like tenure track. If you join in a university, they will ask you to do work as a tenure track. You have to work for 5 years and then prove that you are capable of doing research, and you are capable of running a lab, and you are capable of getting a funds for you. So once you do that, they'll clear your tenure track and they'll promote you the associate professor. Otherwise, they'll fail you and they'll ask you to move into industry or something. So you can go into, if you want to become professor. If you want to become just lecturer, you can. There is no need of this tenure track or all. You can become like just lecturer and you can just go and teach. And the other track is like as you said, like there are in USA it's like research scientist or researcher or postdocs or becoming a lecturer or become professor. In India, it's like research scientist or like this thing like professor something. Like professor, and Europe also same kind of thing. I think so.
Got it. Got
I
it.
think India is the third country, which is India is like I seen first in artificial intelligence. First is the USA. India is the third, the country where
Third
the research
country.
of AI is developing.
Researchers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Got it. Got
Mm.
it. So now you mentioned about the importance of funding and doing research. So
Mm.
I just want to know. So for example, your method of operation was like you initially approached your professors, got to
Mm.
know about the funding opportunities there, and then you moved on to your program. Now I just want to know what is the deployment of funding like. One would be maybe I think will be your stipend, and what other aspects of funding is. So again, you mentioned, I was curious, like for a particular PhD, it will at least cost around 150 to 200K, and compared to Indian standards, which is a very huge amount when we convert
It
in India.
depends on, actually it depends on university. Like some universities, if you go for California, the one credit costs you like so much. If you come to Florida, the one credit costs you some less. Like so, if you have masters and if you want to do PhD, you have to complete 48 credits. If you don't have masters, you have to complete 75 credits. So one credit, how much it can be. Like in my university, it is $1375. If you go somewhere, it may be $2,000. So if you go some other university, like it will be like $1,000. If you take $1,000 into like 48,000 dollars, $1,000 you won't find anywhere. If you have in-state residence, you'll have like $500 or something. I think you know about in-state residence, right? You don't know the in-state residence?
No, no, no. Can you please explain
No.
about that?
In-state residence means if you come for masters, if you work here for a few years in a same state. If I stay in Virginia state, so if you come here and do masters and stay in Virginia state for some few years for every state, and then the state will provide you in-state residence. So in that state, if you apply for your kids or yourself, if you apply for any college, there will be two prices: in-state price and an out-state price. In-state price will be $400, $500. Outstate price will be $1375, 15. Like it will be literally 4 or 5 times more than the, like So if you become in-state, it will be like cheaper mostly. So if you do PhD part-time, if you want to do part-time PhD, once you get a master, if you get into master job, if you do after a few years, then it will be cheaper.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, got it. Now,
Yeah.
yeah. So what? So I think what amount of other different funding? I mean, how is that funding deployed? One is your stipend and for taking care of your personal expenses, and what other areas would it be spent on?
I mean, I didn't get you what you're saying.
So you mentioned that how is the fund deployment coming in? So for one particular research, will the university be allocating a particular amount of funds to be utilized for this particular research, and whether there is a budget allocation for this particular research, anything of that sort? So I'm
Oh,
a,
yeah, yeah. Sure.
yeah.
Mhm. So the thing is, the funding it comes from USA government or private companies, or from university or itself. Like in USA, the mostly the professors will write funding for NSF grant will be like national grant something. Like it will come from the USA government itself, like NSF grant, or the NSF will be more giving more grants, or you can contact like top companies like Google or Microsoft. You can write a proposal for them. They can grant you research if they like your product. If they want some product out of your research, they'll can guide you. They can send a grant for you. So that grant will come to the university. Whoever at the university, like government or the private company, will come to the university. From that university, they'll send it to the students who are working in the lab. Per month, they'll assign me. I got my starting first year, and I was working as research assistant. So they'll send me money every month. So to allocate all the money depends on the professor to professor. You have to talk to the professor before how much you are going to that depends on style college to college, professor to professor. The same college also it varies depends on professor to professor. So some professors may give more, some professors may give less. Some professors say that you don't have funding itself, you have to work for free. So some professors say that we don't have funding, and also you have to pay your own college fees. That happens in some of the departments, like some of the in computer science mostly all are funded, but if you take some other departments, science, technology, engineering, max, if you take of this, some other there are some fields where the funding is very less. Like there you have to go and pay yourself. There's some college in Boston. There, if you want to do MBA in business administration, you have to pay around $300K, and there will be no funding. There will be no nothing stipend given for you. You have to bear your own expenses. So in my case, most of the government universities, most of the good universities, they write funding. The professor, the lab head writes funding for the government or the private companies. They'll send the funding for them. Even we used to like the funding research proposal, it is called like research proposal, what we are doing in our laboratory, what we can contribute to the research, like how we can contribute to, like government will not be like more money mandating, they'll be, if you are telling that you are contributing more to subject, they'll send you. But in private companies mostly they want something out of it. What they'll see what benefit they are getting for the company as a whole. Because like if you want to appoint one research scientist in their research laboratory, it costs a lot, because like they'll ask more money. So what they does is many research, like many companies, they'll keep one or two research, like some research scientists in the company, and they'll tag up with some of the premium good university, good laboratories. They'll make the research PhD students work there because it's cheaper. Because for 1 month, how much you pay for research scientists, you can appoint 2 3 research like PhD students for that. Because if you compare from like India or like Latin countries like Latin America, like South Africa, developing countries and all, it's like they'll come to, like they won't expect money. Like first time when I coming to USA, you won't expect money, right? You won't expect, just you want to come to USA. So that's the main thing. So that's the way. But the thing is, research will be slow because the students, PhD students, they have to learn and do. Research will be slow. So, but anyway, they'll prefer like tagging up with the companies, tagging up with the university research laboratory for research. So that's how the money will flow into the university. The students will get PhD stipend, and their entire tuition fees is paid by that fund itself.
Got it. Got it.
The India,
So
most of the Indian and Europe, actually, I seen that the university itself is giving them the money. So that's the very reason. If the university itself is giving them money, if you want something to set up some equipment, it will take time to buy and all, because the funding has to come from higher level. It takes a lot of time. Yeah.
Right. So I think here, since the third party is giving you the funding, you don't need not align with
Wait.
your university or wait for it. Yeah, got it. So
Yeah.
can you give a small briefing about what exactly you are doing with your PhD, if you can share?
Oh, okay, sure, definitely. So I was working in Accessible Computing Lab. So it comes under WSDL lab. WSDL is Web Science Digital Libraries lab. So WSDL lab is most like a popular lab in my department, computer science department, in our department, like in university. So what that WSDL labs does is like it does is like web archiving stuff. Web archiving. So like if you go from web history, saving web history and all, like from past, if you take from past 50 years, 60 years, if you store the web history, if you take newspaper, when we got independence, like you will see at that time what the world is. So it will, like, for future reference, it will be useful. So if you store the website, you can go to Google and type web archives. There will be, if you keep any website link in it, you will be finding all snapshots of different, like past 10 years, the website, you can see how it is. So my lab is a part of that lab, accessible computing. But what we do is accessibility stuff. Accessibility stuff means like if you like when we are small, we used to have normal phone, no Nokia phone. When we used to dial a number. Like before that, the dial we had to dial a number or rotate a number. Like, before that, we had to press numbers and all when you were talking. Nowadays, it's like easy for us to like this touchpad came after the facial recognition came. So what it basically does is increase the interaction, like it's increase in accessibility between us and the software information present out there. So that's the HCI domain. It is called human computer interaction. So our lab made it is a HCI domain, but the thing is we deal HCI field is on rise because nowadays we find VR goggles, AR, augmented reality, virtual reality goggles and all. But mostly for sighted users, it's like on rise. But for blind users and visually challenging users, still the blind people they are not able to. There's not much development in the blind people using laptop. For you visually, like for visual people, everyone are able to use the laptop or like mobile phone easily. That like new things are coming up, like the fingerprint or facial recognition. Something new things are coming up, so it's making very easy for them to use the information technology out there. But for blind people, still it is very difficult for them. Sometimes they may not use itself. There are some screen readers which will help them to use, but there are a lot of problems in it. So what we does mainly is we deal with the sighted users as well as the blind people and visually impaired people, and we also integrate nowadays. We are also using virtual reality and augmented reality and many other stuff, latest stuff. And by the using AI, NLP, and deep learning, like we're using that stuff. How do you increase accessibility? How do you increase interaction? How do you make it information or content more accessible for the blind users or visually challenged or sighted users by
Got it.
using these latest technologies and like gadgets?
Got it. So, so I want to ask a final question to you. This
Mm.
again, a doubt. So, I've heard that there are certain programs giving terminal degrees. So, what is the difference? So, I believe you are aware of that. So, what is the
Mm.
difference between a terminal degree and a PhD? Terminal degree is also a higher level of degree, right? So, what is
Yeah.
the difference? And yeah, if you can explain that.
If you go to like 1940s 1950s, terminal degree is PhD. No one, like if you go for 1960s 1970s, no one, like my grandfather, like is a freedom fighter. So he's 19, he was born in 1936 or something. At that time he just completed ninth class, he got a job, he government job. Ninth or 10th class he got a government job. Like even my grandfather, he got, like they used to get very easily kind of thing. He's like top level, like a IAS IPS kind of thing at that time. So he got a very easily kind of job. So but later 1970s, the people, like, even though they complete degree and all, even while completing BTech and all, 1970s difficult. 1990s and all, everyone used to do BCom and all. Like degree has become terminal many times. And later, like PhD is always terminal. PhD, like 1970s used to do, 1940s, 1930s, like there will be hardly can count on fingers who can do whole world. 1960, 1970, many people used to do. 1990s and all, there are like many people are doing that. So PhD is considered terminal degree. But now the terminal degree is not PhD because there is postdoctorate. It's called PDF, postdoctorate fellowship. Like graduation, post graduation. Graduation means the undergraduate. In USA, graduation means masters. In India, we call as undergraduate, something bachelor, something. So graduation, post graduation means the degree which you do after graduation. Doctorate is called PhD. Postdoctorate is the degree which you do after doctorate. In some countries, they call PDF, postdoctorate fellowships. So that is considered as the terminal degree right now. So and PDF is not like actually don't study actually anything there. Yeah, PhD in USA has a coursework. In other countries, in India, in USA, in Europe, they already take the students who are well and good, like who are very talented in it. They don't take anyone who are not talented. Maybe some professors may take the students and they'll ask you to study after taking PhD. I've seen some people who taken PhD, who did PhD, studied everything in physics, and who taken PhD in biology. Something like they form famous, so like the man who know infinity is about Srinivas Ramanujan, I think so. In that film, he got one award like Royal Fellowship. The Royal Fellowship is awarded to famous scientists. Like it started from like famous scientists and all will be there. So that the president of the Royal Fellowship Association, that if you open his profile, he's Indian in UK. So he studied a PhD. He studied in different field. He did PhD in different field. Like that, people who will be doing on. So in USA, no matter wherever you study, what you did, if you come for PhD, if you have a master, you have to take 8 subjects. If you don't have master, you have to take 18 subjects or 19 subjects. Complete the coursework, give the candidacy exam. Exam means you have to stand in front. It's like latest I'm saying latest PhD. Before PhD is like you have to give qualifying exam. Now PhDs are like you have to give proposal. After you do coursework, you have to give a research proposal. You have to work on the proposal. You have to give PhD. So that's PhD. You have to study and then parallel you have to do research and then you many things. But PDF, what happens is just you go for industry, you do research. That's it. And PDF, you can do it as long a whole life also you can do PhD. Like PDF, I'm saying. Like I seen some people who done PDF 6 months. I seen some people who have done PDF 7 years also. So there's no particular limit. But PhDs are like 3 to 5 years. Now the terminal degrees are PDFs, I think so. So after I don't know, like the competition increases, the what next? Like nowadays, many people are doing last like before it is like bachelor's. If you take 99 days, later it become masters. Now it become PhD, and now now itself they are thinking of postdocs. And after 10 years, I don't know what next they'll go.
Right. The
And
world
after
is evolving.
because after there is
All
nothing
right.
to do. After the postdoctorate is the final thing. After this, if they want to do also, there's nothing to do. They just wanted to maybe if they want to stand out of the crowd. Now they are doing degrees to stand out of the crowd. Many people, if they want to stand out of after 10 years, maybe they really has to get some awards. Like they has to. There is some tuning award something in computer science in Nobel Prize and some. I think they that prizes they have to get to stand up. That's the last of it. That's become terminal after 10 years.
Right, right.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mohan, that was great information that you've shared, specifically on the PhD and specifically on the PhD that you are doing on computer science. Maybe some last couple of words that you want to share with the community members who are really interested in. I think there will be a lot of members who are right now undergoing their master's graduation. So some of them might be interested in PhD as well. Maybe some final words for them. And also, as a community member, what is your thought on this particular community so far, and what is your expectation of this community moving forward? If you can share that, that will be really helpful.
So the main thing, like what I want to share with many people is like, what I see many people is like, they since they the ways like in USA, if they wanted to like many people doesn't have much knowledge on how to join in like PhD or what stuff goes in the PhD. I think I given all the information which like most of the like people doesn't know what stuff it goes in, what are the different curriculum and all like. They can go and check in the website also. So if they wanted to join in PhD for people who are in India, what my suggestion is just go on like mail to the professors in a precise email. Don't like make lengthy stuff and don't like you don't try to like write your whole autobiography in the email so that they won't know, no one will read it. So do just write like precise just less than one paragraph or something. Just like keep your resume and website linked to it, and people who are finding it tough to get because their profile might be low. I don't like tell them to I waited for 2 years because of code I'm not able to get. I improved my profile a lot. So if people are really interested, don't wait there for so long. Come here for masters and then convert into PhD. If you find any professor, But unfortunately, sometimes you may not find professor who is really going to fund you. So no need to worry at the time. Just go get into a job after master. Just get into part, like do part time PhD. And again, doing part time PhD is like, you have to pay yourself. Like no one is going to pay stipend and all. So again, if you think it's hard, wait for a few years, stay in the same state where you are. You will get instant residence. Then you do part time PhD. And if you're interested, then you can complete a PhD as soon as possible. So, and one more thing is like, if you're really passionate, only do for PhD. Because I see many people like, doing PhD for the sake of, even though they're not into the for the sake of just namesake, just coming into PhD and all. Because that way it will be like really you will be wasting your time. You won't enjoy anything because you have to sit along. Like so much of you have to effort, so much of you have to invest your time a lot in it. PhD, getting a PhD, good PhD. I'm not saying just like getting a PhD is okay, you can get it, but get PhD which has good journals, whether you want to improve your, if you want to go into research scientist, top research, and if you got to get awards and all, you have to increase your time a lot, and family has to support you and all many things. So you have to sacrifice. If you're not passionate, if you just came for namesake, or if you just came for visa, PhDs and get fastly green card and all. If you just came for visa sake, then that might be really difficult for you to complete. So have passion and then only come into PhD. And when it comes to this group, I really like the idea of this group because when I was studying, like I doesn't know if this group exists. So I doesn't know anywhere like whom to contact, where to contact. I wasted 1.5 year and like 1.5 year, 2 years literally, because I doesn't know what to do and all. This group may be good platform. You can ask all your doubts. And I didn't see any racial abuse or something. In some group they'll abuse it. Like, if you ask any question, they'll start abusing. I see in Telegram groups, there will be like for visas, like in F1 slots, booking F1, there will be some group. If you ask any question, they'll start attacking the guys. The 20K, 30K people. I didn't see any kind of abuse. This very decent group. So I think people can ask. I really like this kind of idea. People can ask their doubts and get clarified. Yeah, I think like if they are going to provide same kind of, if they are following same kind of ethics and helping people, I think this group has long way to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Mohan. I think it's almost midnight or past midnight, if I'm not
Yeah,
wrong.
no problem.
Thank you again for taking that time off and in sharing your knowledge. I think our community will only be growing if people like you share your experience and knowledge to our community, so that most of them will benefit out of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Once again, all the best for your research, and have a very good night.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.